Fabrication is a very big part of rodding. Now, fabrication comes in when you need to widen your fenders, or you need to build a tunnel to go over your gearbox inside. It's when you have to shape metal. Now, a lot of times you buy a car and you've got certain fenders that are broken, and you can't get a replacement part for it. You can't just order something from the US. So what do? You've got to make a new one. Now, how do you make something with a skill that guys used to use during World War II? Well, simple. You come to Stellenbosch and you meet Barry, and he shows you exactly the skill of English wheel and fabrication the way they did it back then. Come have a look. Barry!
Hey, Joe.
Good to see you, man.
You too, man.
So this is where you can learn to do fabrication.
Yeah, it's pretty much one of the things. I teach metal shaping. We do a course teaching the basics of sheet metal shaping, how to shape panels, make patch panels, doing rust repairs, all the way through to the same skills that it would take to build a whole car from scratch.
How did you get into that?
Look, I've been into rodding from pretty early age with Harry Corbett and Dave Corbett up in Joburg. That's kind of how I got into it, got my start. And it's something I've always been interested in, and probably different to a lot of guys, I've never really been that keen on the motor and the engine and the big power and all that sort of stuff. I've always been into the aesthetics, the look, the body, custom style, that sort of a thing. And that's pretty much where the shaping, came from. I started messing around with fiberglass and stuff like that, and playing around, and wasn't happy with the results and the kind of stuff that I was able to achieve, and started finding out about metal shaping, started playing with it, learning, and grew from there.
I did the course with you some time ago
That's
already,
right, yeah.
and I've been promoting the course constantly. It's a time factor. I've spoken to guys where they've extended fenders or they've done work on their cars and stuff, and they went through the process of how they did it. And by spending time with you and learning a little bit more about what metal can do, you find there's an easier way to do it. Or not an easier way, there's a better way to do the work that actually cuts a lot of their times and stuff. Because guys were, instead of trying to shape the metal, they were trying to cut it out and weld in little pieces and stuff to try and get the bends that you do just with a hammer. So I think there's a big factor in it where, doing a course like yours in the long run can save you years of time trying to fabricate or work on your car. Just teach you the skill on how to fix these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the really basic stuff, anybody building or rebuilding an old car, you're going to have rotted out floors, you're going to have rotted out lower quarters, that kind of stuff. Those are generally pretty simple panels. Quite often they're not that visible, so if you don't get them perfect, it's not that critical for the overall look of the car. I mean, I've had guys in the course, there's one guy from up in Joburg who was restoring a couple of 48, 49 Chev pickups. He'd imported a full set of floors and sheet metal from the US for this first one. When he did the second one, he called me about a month after the course. He'd saved, however many grand it was, by being able to hammer those things out in, maybe a couple of weekends. So
Exactly.
not only that, there's a satisfaction of having done that, You've actually physically done something you've created. You can really say you've built your car.
So, Barry, we're making a fender for the bike that we're building in the TV show. And you've prepped this steel for us already. What did you do here?
Joe, yeah, it's just a piece of 1mm cold rolled steel. Cut it out slightly oversized. And we just rounded off the ends, cut it out, and just taking off the sharp edges, getting it a nice, smooth, flowing curve.
And you said oversized, which means, we took a measurement.
We generally,
if I just kind of show you here, what we did was we took a tire that's a little bit bigger than the one that we're using. This is a 19-inch where the bike's got an 18-inch. And we marked off from where to where we basically want the fender to be. Barry measured it out, and then you just, how much did you add on to the?
I've added about 15 mil.
Okay.
And we've done the same thing, measuring across for our curve that way. We've added a little bit there as well.
Cool.
And now we can start shaping it. what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a couple of lines on here, but I'm just going to give us a reference side to side to make sure that as we put the shape into it,
All right.
we get that happening uniformly on either side.
Makes sense.
We're going to go over to the stump in the bag and start beating the hell out of it.
Cool.
What we've got here is just a couple of bits of railway sleeper hollowed out. You see there's various different shapes and depressions in them. And that's going to help us create the shape. We're going to be hammering over the hollow. That's going to stretch it out into the center, get that shape coming up. At the same time, it's going to get the edges to tuck up and shrink. So we're actually doing almost two processes in one.
Yeah.
So what we want to do now is starting in the center, we're going to put a row of even hits all the way down, get that shape happening as uniformly as possible.
Okay.
As you can see, it's pretty rough. It's not very even. So what we can do now is using the shape of the hollow, maybe just working through here. We can work through center again and work outward and have another round all the way out.
All right, you want to take over? I can't close my hand.
So you can see the idea is starting to happen. When you're shaping a compound curve, there's curvature in two directions, and that's always interrelated. So the more it curves the one way, the less it's going to curve the other way for the same amount of shape. If I take this now and actually flatten it out to get this curve rounder, you'll see that this thing's going to straighten out. So it's curved round, but it's a lot flatter now. And all that is telling us is that we haven't got enough shape in it yet.
Yeah.
So center needs to come up. This needs to shrink some more.
Okay. Going into the different shape now?
Yeah. So I'm just going to open this up again a little bit. So we can repeat that same process.
All right.
Okay, so we've got a bit more shape happening. All these little tucks and ruffles on the edges are starting to give us a bit of grief now, and the wooden hammer's just not doing anything to them to take them down. So just to get things smoothed out, I'm just going to grab a round-faced metal hammer, and just on the flat surface, just and immediately you can see that that's got to pull around a little bit more. And as I do that, if I pull that around to that shape, you can see the sides are jumping out.
Yeah.
So that's just saying that there's got to be more shrink.
You know, in all these American shows, you always see them like build a tank, but you never see them build a Fender. They always use like existing Fender they just cut. Now I see why.
Yeah, sure, there's a bit of work in this.
Sheesh. A lot of hammering.
Okay, so we've got a shape the way we want it. Sort of transfer that center line to the outside so that we can mark it out and cut it symmetrically.
So the Fender, from all the shaping and everything, has actually grown by about a centimeter.
So we're just looking for a center line.
You say about 10 degrees at a time, eh?
Yeah.
So Barry, we've finished off this nice line here. Looks beautiful, hey? Barry, this looks awesome, man.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good, hey?
Yeah, I'm impressed, eh? I'm really impressed.
Yeah, we got a little while still just
Yeah, I know.
putting these edges over like this.
I think rather I need to go take this and go sit in front of my TV and do this for the rest of the night. Don't you have some cars we can still go drive?
I do. You haven't driven my truck yet, have you?
No.
Well, let's go do that.
Done.